Okay, we've got the tappet adjusters, the new tappet adjusters in. So I'm now getting ready, preparing to fit the rocker shaft and the rockers into the rocker box. So what I've done is I've laid out the rockers and the associated washers that go with each rocker in order. It's worth noting that each rocker is different. Okay, they're not interchangeable. They all have a specific place. So for a start, there's one that has the adjuster on the left, and the other two have the adjuster on the right. And the center one has the adjuster that's virtually like straight on. And then the M1, the adjuster goes right off to the right. If you look, they're actually very, very different. And then we've got a Thackeray washer, and we've got plain washers. The general rule is that the plain washers go next to the rockers, and the Thackeray washer goes against the casing. But I've taken photos before to make sure that that's the order, and that is the order that they go back in. Then we've got the actual rocker spindle, rocker shaft, and because we bought a new O-ring set, so that's got all the O-rings in it for the engine, and here is one of the O-rings for the rocker shaft. Okay, there's a little O-ring seal there, and so we're going to be prizing that old O-ring out and putting a new one on. And then the next job is just to clean out where the shaft goes. Again, because we've vapor blasted, they can leave little traces of powder. You might be able to see it there. That all needs clearing out. The good news is that the spindle does not spin in the rocker box. Okay, once it's in, it sits there. Of course, the rockers spin on the shaft, so it doesn't matter that the shaft is tight as long as you can get the damn thing in. Of course, it does matter that it's tight at this end, otherwise it will leak oil, because the only thing that's stopping it leaking oil is that little O-ring that we're going to replace. Okay, so it needs to be tight in that end. The other end, of course, has got this nut on with copper washers, so that'll stop it leaking. But this end, the only thing that stops it leaking is that it's a tight interference fit, and it's got this little O-ring seal in the groove there. So I'm going to clean out, again, this end, you see it's gone rusty. And you see that the actual bush has gone rusty there. So I need to I'll probably again get some Scotch-Brite and so on, and just clean everything out, and a bit of WD-40 and just wipe everything, make sure that they're clear. So that'll be the next job. I think what I'll do is I'll prise this seal out now. Let's have a look. So this is the old seal. Got a Stanley knife, and see if I can get in that groove. They're always tight. There we go. And there's the old seal out. Going to have a look at that seal. It's actually not in bad condition, because what can often happen is that the seal is decapitated. When you try and get the seal in there, as it goes into the rocker box, it can be decapitated, the top sheared off, because of course the seal sits slightly proud of the groove for obvious reasons, so it seals. But we do have a special tool for that we'll be looking at later on. Then that new seal, that is the right seal, I'm fairly sure it is, yeah. We'll put that on later. I'm not going to put it on now, because I am going to be heating the assembly up to get the shaft in, and I don't want to burn or melt that rubber seal whilst I'm heating the rocker box up. So I'll put that on. Last thing I'll do is to put that neoprene seal on. Okay. Okie dokie. So I've checked that the spindle is okay going through the rocker boxes and worked it through a couple of times. It's tight, but that's fine, because as I say, this spindle doesn't spin. It's the rockers that spin. They turn on the spindle. So I'm going to start assembling the actual boxes now with the rockers and so on. By the way, this is the exhaust rocker. So when I've showed you, this is the order that the rockers go in. This is for the exhaust rocker box. Okay, so now I've got some assembly lube. So this is Lucas, that's the one I use. I don't think it matters what assembly lube you do use, as long as you use assembly lube. Oil isn't really up to the job because it slowly runs off. So you always want assembly lube. Now, assembly when you're rebuilding an engine from scratch. Now, it's not really essential on the rockers because they're not under pressure, but I'm going to put them on anyway. You want it on the crankshaft and so on the main bearings, and camshafts, but I shall put it on here on the on the rocker shaft anyway for good measure. There is like an oil groove that goes along, and I'm just going to smear a little bit just where the rockers run. Yeah, okay, not essential really for the rockers, but good practice to put a bit of assembly lube on. So then we're going to introduce, this is going to be fiddly. I'm not going to do it on camera because it's a bloody fiddly job and it will take me forever, and put it on camera I'll mess it up completely. So I'm just trying to remember what I generally do. I think what I generally do is actually not put the shaft in. I'm trying to remember. I forget from one. I think I'd remember, but I can't. So I think what we do is we put the rocker in, and then we introduce the washers. Might have to take my gloves off for this. It's fiddly. Now the problem with these Sacri washers is they tend to catch, and they get wound up with the actual plane washer, and it's one of those like a Rubik's Cube, you can't get the washer back out again, so you just have to be a bit careful with them. Let's have a look. So I think that's about what we do. Put the washers in first. Trying not to get them to tangle up with each other, as I say, because that's what tends to happen. Okay, then I'll get a screwdriver. Let me see. That one. And I'm going to look down the shaft, and you can see that they're all out of line, the washers. So I can use my screwdriver to try and line everything up. I think maybe those washers are already caught up with each other. I don't know, because they don't seem to want to move independently of each other. Those Sacri washers are a nightmare for that, and they do get themselves tied up with the other washer. They're like a key ring or whatever, I don't know. But I think that's what's happened here. Oh, have we got that a bit better? No, I don't think so. I might have to start again. No, I'm going to have to take my gloves off. Start again. Put the rocker in, make sure it's the right rocker in the right place. Try and introduce these two washers together. That's better, I think. We might get it. There. Okay. So they're pretty lined up now. So I should just be able to start getting the rocker through, the rocker shaft. There we go, it's gone through. So then, to pull it back out a bit, and then we're going to push the rocker against the Sacri spring so we can get the plane washer in at the other end. and then see if we can get the shaft in. There we go. So that's the first rocker on, and then I'm going to try and repeat the process as we go down, but obviously it gets harder, mainly because you can't, we've got a screwdriver in that end and push things around, but obviously the further down you get, you can't do it. Well, you can, but it's a longer and longer screwdriver further and further away. Right, what we got? So anyway, I'm going to go off camera because I know this is going to take me forever, and I'll be probably swearing and all sorts. But you've got the rough idea of what I'm trying to do. I've just got to actually do it now. So I'll come back to you when I've actually got them located. Could be some time.